peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? I went over this in one of my stories yesterday, but I wanted to kind of cover this topic in long form because this really doesn't make sense to me. And so, what I'm going to present to you is just some questions that are rattling around in my brain, some things that I'm thinking about because I'm trying to make any of these things make sense. I don't know if you're paying attention, if you know about what's going on. I know some people do pay attention, some people don't. Not everyone is information slash news junkies. I really wouldn't call myself a news junkie per se, but I definitely have an affinity for information. Portland is a madhouse right now. Even though the mainstream news media might not be covering all of the events going on in Portland right now and the riots that pretty much have not stopped since the riots and protests started. Because if you watch the mainstream news media, you would think that the riots and the protests stopped a couple weeks ago. They actually never did. Now, they might not be going on in every city, but they're still happening. Portland, Seattle, Austin, these cities are still rioting every night. Look, these are not protesters, and that's the thing. It's one thing, as annoying as it is one thing if you have protesters blocking traffic, walking across roads, and just being a nuisance, right? I understand. What I would call proper civil disobedience. Actually respecting others' rights while just being slightly annoying. What's going on in Portland and some of these other cities is not protests, these are riots. And so this is the thing I brought up in a live or in a story I did yesterday on my Instagram. These people are allegedly protesting police brutality, over policing, which I've said before and I've stated, I think we do definitely in the United States have a over policing issue. Excuse me, I'm trying to clear my throat. Made the mistake of drinking something right before I started this. So we do definitely have an issue with over policing in the United States. And I'm not going to say that police brutality is not an issue at all. To what degree and what level we have a problem with police brutality, that's up for debate. The thing that's shocking to me is when I watch these videos coming out of Portland, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing people pretty much attack and assault federal agents. You have massive crowds all around this courthouse. The fact that it's been going on for 60 days now, I believe. I believe today will mark the 60th day. The fact that none of these rioters have been killed by these federal agents or any police officer actually disproves the magnitude that they sell us for police brutality. So they tell us that police brutality is this crazy, insane issue that is so big and so wide and so massive, we need to get rid of the police altogether. Is there a such thing as police brutality? Does it exist? Yes, it does exist. Their riots, their actions, and the fact that none of them have been killed by any federal agents or police in 60 days actually disproves the hysteria they sell. And along with that, I'm going to say some things that I know there's a lot of people they're not going to agree with. Now, understand, I've always said this and I stand by this. I am a constitutionalist. If these people tear our country apart, we don't even have a country to apply the U.S. Constitution to. I am not a statist. I am not a statist at all. I'm seeing a lot of conversations go on between, people I know across different social media platforms. And I'm seeing a lot of discussions pop up about the fact that some people have a problem with these federal agents being sent to these states. And normally I'm on board with that. Normally I am not in favor of government overreach. But as I watch what's going on, I'm starting to ask myself, is this government overreach? Now, what's funny is shutting businesses down for a virus is government overreach. Giving small business owners a fine if they open their business back up, government overreach. Mandating mask, government overreach. But you didn't see any riots. You didn't see any protests in the streets. You didn't see any violence over that. And I don't want any violence over that. What should have happened, so this is my opinion. What should have happened when the government mandated that people shut down their businesses, every business owner across the United States should have just said, nah, we open for business. That's the kind of civil disobedience that actually gets the point across. And I believe the federal government, let me back that up, because realistically, the federal government through this whole COVID thing, I don't think gave many mandates as far as coming down with a strong arm. I think the Fed gave recommendations of what the states should do, and some of the states went overboard and got crazy heavy-handed and just did a bunch of things that, in my opinion, is unconstitutional. So I believe what should have happened when these states started giving these orders for businesses to shut down. Think about this. I'm the governor of a state. I give an order. All right, businesses have to shut down. If every single business owner in the state says, no, that's unconstitutional, we will stay open. We understand the risk of the virus and we're willing to take some precautions, but you don't have the right to tell us to shut our business down. That's unconstitutional. But now, let's talk about the riots, though. You have people that are destroying public property we all pay taxes for. You have people blocking roads. You have people wreaking havoc night after night, burning down businesses, breaking windows, trying to break into a federal courthouse. And this is where I have my, as you can tell right now, you're just hearing my thoughts, right? So no, this is not polished at all by any means. When you have people trying to break into a federal courthouse, if I was the president, yeah, I'm going to send federal agents to protect that federal courthouse. And I'm seeing people who across the internet that people I believe are pretty smart people. But I'm like, if you can't see this, maybe I'm wrong, and that's very possible. But in my mind, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, if I was president, I would do the same thing. These people are trying to destroy and burn down a federal building. And we're surprised, or some of us are surprised that has warranted a response from the Fed. What do you expect? Again, I am not a statist. I am not a statist at all. I'm a constitutionalist. What's happening right now is producing mental turmoil, not in the sense that I'm worried or concerned, not in that sense, but in the sense that I'm trying to figure out how to think rationally through this issue. Because do you just let these people destroy federal property? And I've seen people across the web argue that, well, the police should be handling this. Do you see what the police have been going through? Do you see how the police have been demonized? If I was a police officer right now, I wouldn't want to get involved in any of this because you can't win. You can't win. Let's say if I was an officer, I was actually talking to a officer about this earlier today. Let's say you're a police officer and you get stuck in a situation where you're in traffic or you're in the midst of protesters and you're in your squad car. They're getting violent. They're trying to overturn your squad car with you in it. Somebody's trying to break the window and throw a Molotov cocktail in your car. They're trying to kill you. Would that officer be justified in opening a window and opening fire on some people? Now, that sounds extreme to you, right? That sounds extreme, but put yourself in that situation. You're in that vehicle. These people are trying to tip this vehicle over, break the window, and throw a Molotov cocktail in this vehicle. They are, in effect, trying to kill me. Their goal, their purpose is to kill me. An officer in that situation right now, if they were to open fire, they would come under tremendous scrutiny and probably be sent to jail. I would not want to be a police officer right now. God in heaven help police officers in the United States. Because if I feel like right now, as a country, we are caught in what is that thing, the Chinese finger trap or the Japanese finger trap? I don't know which one it is. You know, you stick your finger in it, and the more you pull apart, the tighter it gets. And I think that's what's happening right now. We have, and part of me thinks that this was planned. I'm not gonna go full tinfoil hat on you, but let's think about this. You demonize the police to the point where police feel like they can't do their job and they're not supported. You support a violent insurrection because that's what this is. This is no longer a protest. If you're out at night with these people in these protests, understand this is not a protest anymore. When it started out, yeah, it was a protest. That didn't last long. It is now a riotous, violent insurrection, in my opinion. So you demonize the police where they feel like they can't do their job. You say defund, which it's funny because every situation that I've seen, I've heard of people that actually have a plan, for defunding the police and allocating monies to different areas and doing different things. I haven't heard those plans. So I'm just talking about what I've seen so far. Everyone that I've seen calling for defunding the police, when you listen to them, what they're actually calling for is to abolish the police. So they're not calling to defund the police. They just want to get rid of the police altogether. I'm not a fan of that. I understand how policing got started. I understand where it all came from, but that doesn't mean we don't need policing today. I can't stand by that. And when I hear people argue to just up and get rid of the police altogether, I'm like, well, what are you asking for? What, do you realize what you're calling for? Do you see what's happening in Portland? This is exactly what would be happening countrywide if there was no police. If you think that there's just so many people that are good and noble at heart that we could get rid of the police and this would end well for any of us, not only are you sadly mistaken, you are insanely naive, and you definitely do not know what the Bible says about the condition of man. And so I think to myself, is this all planned? Demonize the police, support the insurrection, which a lot of politicians have done, and then blame the president for sending federal agents to defend federal buildings. You see, I can't make being against that make sense. I've tried to, but I can't. I'm being honest with you. And I've seen people call the federal agents that have been sent to protect these federal buildings. I've heard them called jackboots, thugs, whatever. See, I think that's disingenuous. And the people who I'm seeing say these things, I think that they are actually bamboozled by the media. I believe they're actually drinking the Kool-Aid, because I'm telling you, I've been watching a lot of videos, especially coming out of Portland, because that's where some of the most violent insurrectionists are. I'm not calling them rioters anymore. They're insurrectionists. That's exactly what they are. And I think they need to be dealt with as such. So when I see how these federal agents are approaching this situation, I'm like, this doesn't look like jackboot thugs. They're defending a federal building. They're asking the people to disperse. They're not going out in aggression. When the people breach or get close to the building, they wrap some people up. If they assault an officer, they wrap some people up and they try to quell the violence. That does not sound like jackbooted thugs. Just using common sense, being intellectually honest. And I'm definitely not a fan of over-policing. I have stated this many times before. I think there's a concerted effort by the media, by some factions in politics, to tear the country apart to get their way. What we're seeing right now is we're seeing a separation in this country in this regard. We're seeing people who disagree, who are willing to have a conversation, talk rationally, see where we agree, see where we disagree, and see what conclusion we can come to or what we can work out. And then you have another faction that is kicking and screaming and saying, no, we want it our way, period. And we're going to kick and scream until we get that. And I hate to make this simple, but really it's not even, and several people have said this online, so I'm not the originator of this thought or this comment, but I agree. This is no longer a matter of right versus left, liberal versus conservative, freedom and liberty versus communism, socialism, even though those things are mixed in there. This is purely good versus evil. And it is that simple. When I watch these insurrectionists, I'm not the arbiter of truth. I'm not the arbiter of the spiritual realm. My word is not law. But when I see these insurrectionists, I see pure demon possession. I'm not joking with you. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm being dead serious. When I see these people, I am 41 years old, and I've ran into some unreasonable people in my life, and I've been unreasonable. I have never seen this degree of unreasonableness ever. I've watched people go into these insurrectionists and just try to have a conversation, try to talk about things. All they want to do is scream. It looks like demon possession. These people are screaming for no reason at all. I'm even convinced that arguably 75% of these people don't even know why they're so enraged. You know why they're enraged? Because the media told them they were supposed to be enraged and they followed suit. Look, the media, I will give it to them. They've done an excellent job of selling their propaganda this go round. They have done a magnificent job because there's people that have bought it hook, line, and sinker. The media, you can say the left or the Democrats or whatever faction, and it's not just Democrats, there's Republicans too. I'm not a Trump apologist, but I see what I see. I'm not blind. I can't stick my head in the sand and act like I don't see what I see. The media, the left, the political establishment hate Donald Trump so much that they are willing to destroy this country just to get him removed. You know what that does to me? That makes me ask myself questions. Why are they so bent on getting him removed? He's just one man. He's the president. He doesn't have supreme power or supreme control. So why are they so bent on getting this man removed? If he wins this next election, he gets 4 more years, and then they get to prop up whatever candidate they have to throw out there. Bush was in for 8 years. Obama was in for 8 years. There wasn't the turmoil that I see now. And I know some people say, it's because, Trump is racist. Yeah, see, I'm not buying that either. And I've looked into his past thoroughly, and I've looked into all of these claims of him being racist. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're honest with yourself, and you actually look into his past, you won't find that at all. Is he arrogant? Yes. Is he vulgar? Yes. Is he the most upstanding and right man? Nah, not at all. Racist? Nah, I don't see that. And I dug. I looked up all of these stories people, talk about he did this or he said this. I looked into all of it. No truth to any of it. I don't find any evidence of racism. But the media has sold that narrative so good that you don't even need any evidence, any proof, or anything. All you have to do now is say racist, and that's it. If I was white, somebody in this time right now can simply call me a racist and it would be so. This is what the media has sold to us. And many people within the country have bought this hook, line, and sinker. As I said, I'm not a statist, and this is even hard for me to say, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I see these videos, and maybe this is what whoever's behind this wants. Maybe they want us apathetic to things we would have never accepted before. That's very possible. I'm not saying that's not the case. But when I see these insurrectionists, I want so bad. I just want some infantry troops to go in there and wrap these people up and just toss them somewhere. They're not helping anything. And there's so many people who I believe are not seeing this thing clearly. I love my country. I love our founding documents. I love what we were established on. We worked some things out. We've made progress. What I see these people doing, it really gets under my skin. It gets under my skin because it's subversive. None of it is helpful. And people are being bamboozled into thinking that there's an easy solution to this. Right? People think, well, if we just remove the federal agents and let them burn down the buildings, are you nuts? No, that's not the answer. Every time I see another statue removed by a mayor, I don't care if the statue's of a racist. It makes me mad. You know why? Because we're giving these insurrectionists their way. All of these statues, whether it's of a racist or of Columbus or of a Confederate that celebrated, whatever, it's part of our history. I'm not triggered by my history. It's a scarred history, but it's our history. This is my homeland. I want these insurrectionists wrapped up. You can think what you want. Like I said, I'm not a statist, and it kills me to say this, but I honestly hope the president sends something swift to wrap these people up, and that they see justice. Because what they're doing, terrorizing the whole country, terrorizing cities, terrorizing people's neighborhoods, yeah, I can't rock with that at all. Stay frosty, people.